Welcome back to the channel. I'm Fausto Carnevale, Italian accountant, and in this video I will talk about the Agenzia delle Entrate, meaning the tax authorities in Italy, and what to avoid when you move to Italy. I will talk about what are the risks to consider in the tax audit if you are a high net worth individual, and or if you are using other tax regimes like the tax regime that only people from abroad can use, like impatriate regime, the 7% flat tax, and even the 200,000 euro flat tax for high net worth individual. We are supporting now, just to do a small introduction, also with the visa project, our clients in Italy. We are supporting a lot of people moving from the UK and especially from the US. So we talk today about the Agenzia delle Entrate. What is l'Agenzia delle Entrate? L'Agenzia delle Entrate is the tax authority in Italy. So the Agenzia delle Entrate, basically, they do a lot of things, to summarize, but for the purpose of this video, they will send you an audit. And they will also, if you have a company, sometimes come to your company to check the bookkeeping. Now, let's talk about the specific tax regime, and we don't talk about having a company in Italy. So, if you're using, let's say, the 200,000 euro flat tax or the impatriate regime, what are the risks of a control with Agenzia delle Entrate? And do you need to be worried? So, first of all, the more specific is your tax regime, the less they have to control. Paradoxically, the 200,000 euro flat tax, there is nothing to control, because if you did the interpello, if you of course are eligible. But for those kind of tax regime, even the 7% flat tax, they don't have a lot to control. And I'm giving you a gold advice here. Of course, they can control, they can ask you if you are eligible or not. As I advise, it is always good and mandatory for some tax regime to do the interpello, which is a formal request done by us, by accountants, in which we ask if this regime is applicable in your case, even if we as accountant know that is applicable. And moreover, the probability to have a tax audit is 2-3%, because of course they cannot control everybody. And with this said, there is another thing that I heard is that if you are using a specific tax regime, they will automatically control you. This is not true. But by the way, as I said, the interpello is very... I advise you to do the interpello, because for some tax regime is mandatory, again, or otherwise we as accountant, we have also our responsibilities to send your tax return, so we don't work if we don't do the interpello. This request, let's call it a tax request. But you don't have to be worried, because even if they send you a letter, normally they just want you to check if you are eligible for those regimes that you ticked in the box. In the tax return, there is a box, of course, for some tax regime, and basically you said, I'm a high net worth individual, I pay 200,000 euro flat tax. There is another thing in Italy called Guardia di Finanza. And this is basically like a police, and they check especially money laundering, tax evaders, etc., etc. And you don't have to be worried for those kind of control, because this will check basically all the fraud, and they are targeting, of course, some Italian companies that don't work properly, that don't respect the law. But we respect the law, so we don't have nothing to worry. Even the Agenzia delle Entrate, as I said, let's say that you have a company in Italy. I always do this example with my students, because I also teach to the accountants in Italy. I am also I'm professor, let's say I have my video courses, that the Agenzia delle Entrate could go to the company to check basically all the information that they want. They can basically say, hello, this is your bar, this is your company, I'm here and I have to see for 3 days all the bookkeepings. Whereas the Guardia di Finanza, if there is something urgent, or if they think that there is a big problem, they can check also the company and the accountant. But today, what I'm talking about, 3 specific tax regime, or let's say 4. The forfeit regime, the impatriate tax regime. The forfeit regime is a normal regime, even Italians can use it, so there is nothing to check. The impatriate regime, the 7% flat tax and the 200,000 flat tax for high net worth individual and 7% flat tax for pensioners. So you don't have to worry if you're using this regime of tax audit in general. In general, unless you're eating something, okay? And unless, because then, as you know, if you are using the impatriate regime, you are fiscal resident in Italy, you have to declare all your assets that you have abroad. So then if you don't do this and they may have a check, you have to explain why you did a wrong thing, okay? And don't worry, because it is normal in every country in the world that there are tax audit. But the probability to be checked is very low, especially if you are moving and you want to stay in Italy for 10 years. Maybe they will check you 1 time in 10 years. Maybe they don't check you. And maybe you basically, of course, if you do stupid things, like you forget to send your tax return, you forget to pay taxes, of course they check. Of course, but in general, you can stay safe. And in this period, Italy is one of the top countries to move, honestly. It's one of the top countries in Europe to move. I will go to Italy next month, and if I can, I will also show you around again in my region, Giulianova, Abruzzo, where I have my accounting office since the 90s. For my dad actually started the business in 87. And I also will show you, on the other hand, the city of Milan. Yes, because I will be traveling with my car, with my family, and I will show you also why Milan is one of the top cities to invest in Europe. So, if you need a specific tax consulting, you can send us an email, info@esentaxa.com. I will reply you personally if I can, and I will send you a quote as soon as possible. So until next time, Fausto Carnevale, Italian accountant, and enjoy your stay. As I always say, enjoy your stay in Italy.